Want to know the secret weapon behind the most successful people? It's not luck. It's actually called networking. So, whether you're climbing the ladder or building something of your own, who you connect with can change everything. Now, let's break down why networking is the ultimate game changer.
Roger Sarnt.
All right. Welcome to today's episode of the Roger Sarnt Podcast, where we talk all things Army. And I'm your host, Sarnt Cruz. Today, we're talking about one of the most powerful tools for personal and professional growth, and that's networking. It's not just about who you know, but it's about building relationships that open doors, spark ideas, and create opportunities you never saw coming. So stick around as we uncover how strong networking can be your greatest asset. All right. So we're going to break this down into about a few sections, right? We're going to talk about, we're going to kick it off with career development, right? And I got my notes everywhere around here, so just bear with me, okay? So as I'm looking around here, over here, trying to gather my thoughts, I'm going to give you guys what the actual function is and or opportunity, and then give you an example real quick. All right. So the first one that we're going to talk about is going to be career development. What type of ways can you network as when it comes to career development, right? And the first one is going to be like access to opportunities. And an example of this could be, let's say you connect with a former platoon member at some type of course that you've been to. And this connection could lead to a recommendation for some type of training that you may have, or a training program that you didn't know about. So, for instance, I go to MLC, which is my next one, and I see someone that I've known for probably from my first duty station. And we're talking, we get to talking and get to politicking. And then they tell me, hey, this is an opportunity that you probably didn't know about, and you should probably explore it, right? So, this is an example of that. The next one is going to be um, sharing, like knowledge sharing. And what I mean by that is like when you join online forums, it helps you learn about like techniques, tactics, and procedures, as we know them as TTPs. So, and these can be used in different ways at your unit, but it gives you like an edge, obviously, because if you kind of submerge yourself in this, you can get a better knowledge. You can get more knowledge and then be ahead of the power curve when it comes to your peers, right? Another good one is career advice and guidance. And what I mean by that is um, listening to your senior NCOs that you met, like that, or that you've met or you've been engulfed in some type of exercise. And if they give you guidance and trying to navigate you through that, also they try and navigate you through like promotion board processes and improving your like NCOER writings. On top of that, if you get better knowledge from this individual, you can apply this, which ultimately gets you a better NCOER itself, right? So just be open to mentorship, if you will. Another thing is when it comes to career development, it increases your visibility. Well, you need to increase your visibility. And what do I mean by increasing your visibility itself? So an example could be volunteering to like organizational events, or taking the lead on a project to showcase your leadership skills, right? So making yourself more visible to senior leaders is going to increasingly influence your career progression. Trust me. Another thing is you have to build confidence. So when you regularly engage with leaders and peers at a professional development event, it's going to boost your confidence. So when you speak up in formations, when you take on briefings, when you do boards, the more boards you do, the more confident you get because knowledge makes you confident. Have you ever noticed? I remember, matter of fact, let me give you an example of how it happened to me. When I first came in the army, I was given a class, or I was told to come up with a class, and I had to teach it because I'm medical, right? So I had to teach it to my platoon sergeant, my team leader, and the rest of the section, right? This was at the 554 MP company out in Germany. So I did my slideshow. They gave me about a week or so, whatever it is. It was on diabetic ketoacidosis. I remember this clearly, and I think I didn't get all the information. Like I didn't soak it all in. And in order for me to be more comfortable, what I had to do was I had to use filler words, and I'm talking about. I said pretty much a lot because I'm nervous and I'm a private and I'm trying to make an impression and I didn't know everything I was talking about, right? So the more I did it, the more comfortable I get. Even with this podcast slash YouTube videos, like the more confident I get into talking into a camera, the easier it is for me to just let the information flow, right? So I think the more you put yourself out there, the better it is for you. The next one is exchange of like resources. So when you when you contact when you I guess when you have a contact from like another MOS that shares study materials, it's going to help you prepare for a lot of things, right? So you have your especially your ACFT, right? Or it helps you. And what I mean by that is you don't have to be the same MOS to do general army things. And ACFT is the first thing that comes to our mind. I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, why is the first thing that these NCOs always talk about ACFT and weapons? It's because it's the most common thing that we have. And then the next common thing that we have is military education courses, right? So these are things that you're going to need in order to get better or move forward in your career, right? So when you exchange resources between, let's say I'm a 68 whiskey and I exchange with my fellow with the scouts or the infantrymen, and we're getting better, right? I'm gonna give them all the correspondence courses I did. They give me all the PT schedules they did, and we mesh, if you will. And that's how you kind of like exchange resources. Um, and long-term relationships. That's a big one, right? That's the next one. So staying in touch with your soldiers that you serve with over the years is going to create a lifelong support system. And everyone knows in the army we need a support system, and this support system can offer guidance and job leads. I'm telling you, you have no clue what's open and what's out there until you actually start talking to people. And even when you're transitioning outside of the military, all of this stuff helps, and it all comes through conversation. Like I'm gonna give you another example on top of the example because I was in I'm in Texas. I was in Avery Ranch. I was doing a golf lesson, right? And then I go to a Starbucks and I'm dressed in my nerdy golf attire, right? And the guy keeps looking at me and keeps looking at me, and he says he just couldn't not say anything to me. So it was like, man, I thought it was Tiger Woods behind me, and I was being funny, and I was like I think that wide receiver Coleman from the Buffalo Bills. He said, "I'm Tiger. Wish he could," right? And he started laughing. So through that conversation, I realized that he divulges to me that there's two other courses that only charge $125 a month, and he broke down all the benefits. And then on top of that, he told me that he owns three taverns. I forgot the name of it, but I know exactly where it is. And now I'm in contact with this individual that I just met off of pure conversation. Never seen him in my life. So, and this is the power of networking. It doesn't matter where you stand. Um, when you speak, because we had a quick quite back and forth about 7-8 minutes. We were talking, and when you speak and when you say things that are going to be like that you're really thinking about what you're saying and you're being as much as descriptive as you can and purposeful, then conversations mean things and people will want to divulge even more. All right, so I digress. The next section that we're going to talk about is professional development and how networking can help you with that, right? So, the first one is going to be access to new knowledge. And what do I mean by that? I mean, attending like leadership development courses or NCOPD sessions. It exposes you to, like we spoke about before, about the TTPs, which ultimately enhances mission success, right? At the end of the day. So again, I can't stress it anymore. The more you know, the more powerful and more of an asset you are to your unit, team, platoon, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Or your staff. The next one is going to be diversifying perspectives, right? So diverse perspectives, if you will. And this is in reference to like collaborating with soldiers from different MOSs, right? And when you do this, right, when you collaborate with soldiers from different MOSs, you kind of, especially during a joint exercise, it kind of helps you see the challenges from different angles, right? And when you see things from different angles, it makes leading more effective. It makes your leadership more effective in problem solving when it comes to complex situations, right? Because you got to understand, if you're that one trick pony that everything worked the way it used to work back in the day, and it continues to work. It does. Let's not get this wrong. It continues to work, but you're not looking for better ways or more up to date ways. And I'm gonna give you the most example that I saw today. I saw this today on Facebook, and I'll probably do a TikTok on it. But I did see it on Facebook. It was a leave cover sheet. Like, what are we doing? Like, why are we still using leave cover sheets when we got IPSE, right? And it just baffles my mind. So my point is, leave cover sheets do work, but there are newer ways that we can sign soldiers out on leave and track them. All right, moving to the next one. It's skill development. And when it comes to skill development, what I mean by this, an example is kind of like when you connect with your old troops who, let's say, master or really, really good. I wouldn't say master, but really, really good at land navigation. And it gives you kind of like the chance to train together. And it gives you guys or you a chance to sharpen your skills, right, for that next field and exercise. Because in an exchange, somebody's always going to benefit more than the other, right? Someone's always going to be more of in a teaching role. And whether that's back and forth, right? You're teaching me about something, I'm teaching you about something, or you're teaching me mainly about something and I'm in the more receptive role, someone's going to get a benefit out of it, right? So the next one is mentorship and guidance. So building relationships with a senior NCO, it just provides the most personalized advice on preparing for, like I told you earlier, for promotion boards. Most importantly, refining your leadership style. Like, you have no clue how annoying it is to know that you're stuck, to know that you yourself are stuck, or at least for me, that I'm stuck in 2010 doing things that way, or my leadership style hasn't changed to the new soldier that's here. I'm not going to sit here and yell at these soldiers, right? There's no reason to, because that's not the way they operate nowadays. It's just not it. And you can sit here and you can yell till you're blue in the face and you're not going to get through to them. That's it. And if I'm not refining my leadership style, it's just not going to work. And then ultimately, I'm not going to be able to advance in my career. And this is why senior NCOs are really useful, but you got to take what you can out of it, right? A next one, let's move on to the next one before I go on a whole different tangent, is staying up to date with trends. Um, I guess with this one, a good example could be is like being part of like military forums, being part of military groups like the Audie Murphy Club, the Sergeant Morales Club, is going to keep you informed about all the policies as they evolve, all the TTPs and all the leadership strategies. And you're going to get better because you're going to be amongst other leaders, steel sharpens steel, right? So I think as I look at my Sergeant Morales medallion flex, nah. But I think when you keep yourself amongst other people who have the same goals, and this is universal, I'm not just creating the wheel, but when you keep yourself amongst people who have the same goals, you're just gonna get better and better, right? If you hang around someone who's gonna be a loser, then you're also gonna start getting these loser tendencies. All right. So the next one is constructive feedback. And sharing your AARs with your peers, subordinates, or just putting it in DTMS to say that. Sharing those AARs, it gives you a lot of valuable feedback on, yeah, a lot of valuable feedback on your performance, right? Especially like when it comes to like fine tuning your tactics and your leadership abilities. So you got to be very open when it comes to that, because it's how do I say it? It's it can be humbling, right? It can be very humbling because you went out there and you was like, oh, I did a good job. I killed it. They got the information, blah blah blah. And at the end of the day, they come back and say your stuff was trash, right? It wasn't as good as you thought. All right, now I'm centered. All right, so it wasn't as good as you thought, and these are the things that weren't as good as you thought, right? And then you got to take that, and you got to not take it with well, I guess you could take it with a grain of salt, which means don't feel insulted, but you got to take that and you got to get better, and that's the point of the AARs, right? All right, the next one is going to be motivation and accountability. Excuse me. The next one is going to be motivation and accountability. So let's say you're training with a battle bro, or joining a PT group that creates kind of like a system of accountability. So everyone's pushing everyone to stay disciplined. Everyone's trying to achieve or reach their fitness goals and professional goals. So when you, again, steel sharpen steel type mentality, when you hang around people who want to get better, that's what's going to happen. Everyone's going to get better. Next section, personal relationships or personal relations. And this is kind of like a support and guidance type thing, right? So, first one is going to be like emotional support. So, when you're connecting with your old battle bros or any battle bro or battle dudette, I don't know how to say, whatever it is, the battle buddy, um, who understands the stresses of the military life, right? It kind of gives you a space that you can vent and you can let your frustrations out. You can celebrate your wins because it's not all about negativity, right? The support is not all about negativity. It's just that you need someone that you can talk to so you can feel supported during these times. That's the bottom line to that. The next one is going to be shared experiences. Example of shared experience can be when you're talking to like a battle bro again, who's kind of like navigating like through deployments, through PCSs, the time away from their family. Kind of it kind of helps you feel less like lonely, and they can kind of give you some like advice that's practical for like handling these challenges, right? Because you guys are both going through the same thing, and obviously you want it to be practical and reasonable. You don't want to be going off the cliff. So you also got to do some type of get discerning when it comes to that advice as well. Next one is perspective and insight. So let's say a battle buddy, they offer a fresh perspective on handling like a leadership challenge or a personal issue. It helps you see solutions that you haven't seen, and that kind of goes back to that diverse thought process, right? Because I may come up with three solutions to a problem, but those solutions may not be attacking it from the right angle or from an angle that I haven't seen. And my battle buddy may come in and be like, oh, have you thought of this? And then we brainstorm it and then we move forward, right? Next one is professional growth. So Regular conversations with motivated soldiers or leaders, it'll push you to step out of your comfort zone. So it doesn't matter if you're taking on let's say a new responsibility or you're pursuing like an additional training. It just you have to stay um you got to stay in contact with troop. You got to stay in contact with other people so you can just grow. That's the bottom line, right? There's no other way to put that. Um Problem solving support, say for instance, when you're like in a position that you have to like that you have a tough decision. Let's say like I don't know, reenlisting, going into a new MOS. You're gonna be brainstorming with your battle buddies, and it's gonna help you weigh like your options and make more of an informed decision. So all of this helps out, right? You start getting unbiased opinions because a lot of times we think of things and we're looking for that confirmation bias. But when someone else says, well, you should probably think about it this way, and then you'd be like, oh, I haven't thought about that. Maybe that's a pro, maybe that's a con. Who knows? Um, Again, accountability partner. When it comes to that, you're setting goals for PTs, for working out, for studying for promotion boards. And again, it just creates accountability system and everyone's pushing each other to stay focused, right? So you have to do this in a partnership. That's why a lot of people fail at their diets. A lot of people fail at their workouts because people hate people. And I don't want to be around people, but they can't do it alone. A lot of things you just can't do alone. You just got to face it, right? You need people. That's the bottom line too. Um, Again, this goes into the next one, which is long lasting friendships, right? So, what can start off as a professional connection can turn into like, especially like during a training exercise or something, right? Um, at NTC, JRTC, whatever TCs you want to talk about, or in the field, what starts off as like a regular, like a normal connection, a professional connection can turn into like what we want to think of as a lifelong friendship, right? And you want to build this on shared values, mutual respect, right? So and then experiences because that's what we have in common is the experience that we're going through right at that moment, which brings us more together. And then we start talking to each other a little bit more. And then we find out that we have more things in common, right? And we have more values and beliefs that we believe that we share. So that makes it a lot easier and a lot better to form these long lasting friendships. Um, you might be asking yourself, oh, if you're finding this helpful so far, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. All right. Now that I've done that, let's keep moving. You might be asking yourself, like, hold on. So I know exactly what I need to do, but how do I do it? Where do I go to network? And that's I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty simple. I'll give you a couple. Uh, so ways to network. Give you a couple examples of ways to network. Right? You have like mentorship programs. So let's say you seek out like formal like mentorship initiatives within your branch. Um, when you're cross training, when you're in joint operations, when you engage with other units and branches during like exercises, you that's where you do it. That's prime real estate for for networking at social events. So you need to attend these unit gatherings. You need to go to these dining ins. You need to go to balls to build relationships. Balls to build relationships. Balls to build relationships. I don't know. For some reason, that kind of yeah. All right. So like, and because everyone's going to be like in a more relaxed setting. So guards are down. Everyone's hanging out. Prime real estate. Informational interviews. So let's say you reach out to like experienced leaders for career advice. You can either do this over a coffee or a quick chat. It doesn't have to be a long time, right? Another thing you can do is get into a volunteer role, right? Offer to organize an event, lead morale building activities, join a community outreach program. I mean, the opportunities are endless. Another way, another like let's say let's move into like locations to network, right? It can be something as simple as the gym at the rec center. Like Casual conversation. I told you I had a casual conversation with a dude I didn't even know. But casual conversations doing like a workout, a walkthrough, or anything like that, it can build a strong bond. At the DFAC, you can be sitting with different people at like at meal times, and it can help expand your circle, like people you just don't know. In the cough, so like let's say unit common areas, you spend some time in there, in the rec rooms if they have one with like your peers and stuff like that, and just start conversing. And then someone knows someone. What is that called? Like the 6 points of friendship or contacts. I can't remember what it is, but that's what happens. Someone knows somebody, and then now you're like, oh shoot, now you guys are even more closer. Um, Back in the day, we had like like base clubs and stuff. Like we had the officer club, the NCO clubs, community centers. They typically host a lot of events that encourage like mingling and stuff. Um, Another place is the TAP office, like the Transition Assistance Program office. You're gonna meet like service members that are gonna be getting out, and they're gonna share their insights, right, on what's going on, like their experiences and stuff. And another way that you can do it, if you don't want to go somewhere and you're that much of a hermit, you can find groups to join, right? You got the AUSA, which is the Association of the Army of the United States Army. And it's great for meeting like professionals and, let's say, getting access to career resources, right? You got a lot of opportunities there, and it's all remote, right? You got the Non-Commissioned Officer Association, which obviously focuses on supporting enlisted members. You got the VSO, which is the Veteran Service Organizations, and group like American Legion or the VFW. They provide strong networks. You also have military affinity groups. So many bases have those for like clubs and hobbies and fitness and faith and culture interest. Like the possibilities are endless. And then online communities, like even like joining like military specific Facebook groups, subreddits, discords, and it just provides instant connection. I'll give you a prime example of one: WTF. Everyone goes there for like crazy stuff, but people talk and meet. I'm part of like a 68 whiskey CMF manager one, and there's a lot of 68 whiskey stuff going on there. So there, I mean, you can do it from remote too. And then you got like programs that you can participate in, right? And these are leadership development programs, right? And these programs in particular, they're aimed to like growing leadership skills that often involve like cross unit participation, right? You have Skill Bridge, and this is for like transitioning members, and it's going to provide like civilian work experience while still in the service, I guess, while you're still in, if you will. Again, you got in inter service exchanges, right? And what I mean by that is, it gives you opportunities to work with like other branches, expanding your network and stuff like that. Veteran mentorship programs. It's helps. I think this one, it's more about like pairing like transitioning service members with veterans who've already made that kind of jump to the other side, right? But at the end of the day, networking isn't just and networking in the army isn't just about like advancing your career, if you will. It's about building meaningful connections that kind of offer support. It offers guidance. It offers opportunities both in and out the uniform. So whether it's finding a mentorship for like pushing each other for PT, or just having someone to lean on during the tough times, obviously deployments are one of them, field trainings. It helps you build a relationship that can last a lifetime. I'll tell you that much. So if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe and share it with your fellow soldiers. And if you're ready to take your leadership to the next level, check out my video on how to run a PT session. It's packed with tips that help you spice up your PT session. And remember, you don't have to embrace the suck if you got the right tools in your ruck. I'm Sarnt Cruz, and I'm out. Peace.
Roger Sarnt.